Hi everyone, welcome back to Hyperflex Huddle. I am your host Parivesh, and today we're gonna talk about AI-powered search, especially in legal domain. And to discuss this with us, we have Emma. So welcome Emma to Hyperflex Huddle. And before we start, let us just introduce. We host this Hyperflex Huddle every week, where we try to get the trends and insights of the industry directly from the expert. And today we have Emma as an expert on search. So Emma, before we dive into conversation, can you tell us more about yourself?
Thank you so much, even for having me today. My name is Emma Kamau. I am based in Nairobi, Kenya. I am a backend software engineer. For the last about 4 years, I've probably been writing code longer than that, but actively building for the last 4 years. I'm also a trained accountant. So before the engineering, I was practicing accounting for also about 4 years. I work at Jibudocs. What we do is improving legal research within Africa, but also thinking about moving beyond the borders of Africa. And this has been such a great experience using Elasticsearch for retrieval and just ensuring everybody has access to legal information, both people who are researching and also just everybody else who would like to have some information about legal structures within Africa.
Nice. And actually, it's very unique shift that I have seen from accounting to engineering. But welcome to the engineering group.
Thank you.
And so when we say, when you say the legal search, what it is actually, can you describe the system? What is legal search? Because I don't know much about it. I'm sure everybody has this question when we talk about legal, what it is exactly what it is.
Okay, so legal search would involve so many different types of documents, but at the very top level would be court decisions. So if you get sued, then there will be a decision at the end, probably if you do not have come to an amicable understanding. So there's also gazettes. There is what's it called legislation as well. So legislation is what would inform court decisions and guide the judges on what to rule against, what is right, what is not right, a judicial precedence, what was decided before. In the day-to-day work of a lawyer, especially in litigation, is to just understand, okay, fine, I have this case against so and so, and how best can we serve our client, and not only in litigation, but in tax matter. So you find most countries in Africa would have like different tax changes every other, like in Kenya, it's almost every other year for the last about 5 years. So you want to inform your client in the best way possible so that they are not on the wrong side of the government, of course, and paying fines and maybe taxes. They missed some taxes that they were supposed to be paying. So this is what would include legal research.
So the end users for these systems would be the legal firms, or are they open for the general public as well to get the more understandings of the laws and so?
So we have not necessarily two versions of the system, but we have two ways in which we provide this information. One is through Jibudocs, the application itself, where you have extensive search capabilities with a large corpus of documents that I've mentioned before. And the other one is purely for the public. So we have published summaries of documents with maybe key facts, issues of determination. Or if you are looking for a particular case, and it's within our database, then you would probably find it on Google search. So that we offer completely to everyone who is looking for anything in the internet.
Right. Um, yeah, so let's say for an e-commerce website and the systems we already seen for searches, we have this product catalogs and all the data sources are defined, structured.
Mhm.
But for the system like this, because in the legal domain, a source can be anything, right? A
Yeah.
written document, could be a case of sensitive information, could be evidence, photographs. So how does this works, and how important it is for for a system to be resilient on the data cleaning and data sources before actually implementing the search?
That's a very good question and a very huge bottleneck, if I may say so. So, for instance, these documents are coming from different jurisdictions, different formats. We were a little bit late to the party with digitization in Africa. So, you find a lot of scanned PDFs, which can be quite a bit of a pain. So, the bulk of the work actually is in building the pipeline of getting the document from the source up to the point where you index. So this would involve OCR, metadata extraction. It's a good time right now. We have AI, large language models. They do pretty decent in the metadata extraction, which is very important because imagine you have currently have about 700,000 documents and you are not aware the jurisdiction of this document. You're doing legal research in Kenya, but you do a blind search and you have documents from Nigeria and Morocco and Egypt. Becomes a bit of a pain. So metadata extraction in this case becomes very important because now you introduce the issue of filtering. So if you're very particular on what documents you're looking for, then this becomes quite important. Imagine you're doing some research on different industries. How easy would it be if you're just maybe looking for something in manufacturing and you can filter out all documents that are not necessarily related to manufacturing. So, of course, that has been quite a bit of a journey with images, but so far, so good. We are able to get this data, get the raw text, get the metadata again, structure the data, and avoid like nested fields, because that again introduces another complexity within Elasticsearch.
Right. So before we go to the Elastic implementation and how Elastic helped you and why you chose Elastic for this building, but can you give us an idea about like because I'm very interested and I have also felt this problem with converting your unconventional sources into a structured data and then indexing into Elasticsearch. So how useful is now, and before we have this tools for like natural language processing and image models and everything, how it used to be done and what benefits now you are getting with the introduction of these models.
So this was very manual. So either you get this data from the people who are collecting the data and enter this data manually. So you miss out on a lot of metadata, one. Secondly, it becomes very expensive. Third, the possibility of errors is quite high. And also the number of people that you would require in a team to get all this information. If you do not have the financial capacity to do this, then it would be such a bottleneck to get so much metadata to make this system relevant. Yeah. So
And also it will take a lot of time to do it manually.
exactly. Yeah. But now with AI, it becomes slightly faster. We would not say equally expensive, but somewhat. But the error rate is slightly lower and mostly it's faster. That's the good thing. Yeah.
And also we can automate this ingestion pipelines. Uh, yes, because the manual intervention there would slow down and also break down the complete automated pipeline. So
Exactly.
now,
Yeah.
now the question, why Elastic? Why did you choose Elastic? What are your thought processes? Have you considered the other options? And what are your end points and pros that you find in Elastic when you go with it?
Yeah. So why Elastic? You could easily do a keyword search with Postgres, but with Elasticsearch, there's ability for scalability is much faster. The schema flexibility was also a factor, but mostly the retrieval and the ability of several algorithms that Elasticsearch offers. So for instance, like the simple query string. It's very useful. Actually, I didn't know that you could do like proper search with Google with exact phrase matches or fuzzy searches. But with my interaction with Elasticsearch, I was able to learn that these are actually things that would make your life a little bit easy, which is not exactly something that would come easy with Postgres. Also, in terms of scalability, and maybe improving queries. If the documents become so many, you can be able to distribute them in different nodes within the indexes and just make everything just slightly a little bit easy. If you know certain documents in a certain jurisdiction are in a certain index, in a certain node, then you don't have to go through all the nodes to get your data. So it makes querying really fast and does not affect the user experience.
Right. And Elastic is one of the best tool out there for as a text engine, as a
Yeah,
search engine. It has proven its capability in full text search. And right now, I would I have no hesitation in saying that in terms of the AI search, it is the pioneer. Elastic is redefining the AI search
very true.
capability. And so, yeah, but let's say when you are developing this system, as you
Mhm.
see, you have been working on this for years. Before, so was it completely vector search, or it was started as a full text search, and then you have introduced vector search with you know upcoming releases? How the split would be? How much your search system relying on the traditional lexical based search, or how much you are utilizing for the vector capabilities?
So initially we did start with full text search, but for the length that the product has been working, we've purely been using Elasticsearch. We don't necessarily do any SQL queries. We leave all the search functionality purely to Elasticsearch. So we spent a lot of time with making sure our schema is good, is relevant to our documents. So in between, we realized we had an implementation of maybe nested searches, right? Which at some point became very expensive, and we had to find a better way of flattening the data. So this is not exactly you in retrospect you wouldn't do like a nested search on Postgres. It would be, I don't know. It's hard to visualize honestly, but I like the idea of aggregations. It would be very tough to do aggregations with Postgres.
You have used the lexical search, but Elastic has introduced the vector, the semantic search as well. So are
Mhm.
you using semantic search as well, or it is just purely full text search as of now?
Work in progress. So we are trying to implement hybrid search currently. Uh, yeah, but you see the work of building the pipeline, getting the correct data, I think that's where the bulk of the time has been spent. But now we are exploring better search experiences for our users as well.
So this question actually has been in debate. There are community and people out there who thinks that full text search was, semantic search has its own capability, but we are losing the relevance a bit here.
Hmm.
So, and full text search was relevant, but if you see the timeline of search, right? First, it was the text matching. Then
Yeah,
there was the introduction of fuzziness. The one you have talked about, that you can even if some misspells, you can still getting the results.
yeah.
And then you got the synonym. So you have the synonym expansion, and now semantic search as well, where
Hmm.
you the exact match, but you get the gist, you get the semantic meaning, and you get the results.
Yeah.
Uh, and when we talk about semantic search, those were not exact result, but the semantic matches of the user query. When we
Hmm.
talk about e-commerce system or any shopping website or internal enterprise searches, this things looks good, because especially for the shopping website and e-commerce website. But when it
Yeah.
comes to legal systems, I
Mm.
think what people are more into the exact matches, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's where the hybrid actually comes into picture. But my question to you is, do you still feel that these are true, that semantic search, yes, it has more powerful, it allows you to search in a wider horizon, but we are losing a relevance a bit with this. What's your take on this?
Yeah, that's a very good observation, honestly. So the thing about legal data is that we would have two users or different ways of approaching research. So there's one user who knows exactly what they want, right? And there's another user who is here to browse and figure out things as they go. So you wouldn't say that exact searches are more important than semantic search. It's very dependent on where you're coming from, how much you know, and what you're looking for. So if I'm looking for a very specific subsection in legislation, then exact search is very important. But if I'm looking for key facts or issues of determination, then probably the wording would be a bit different, and then semantic search would be very important. So none overshadows the other. I just feel like people need to find a good balance between the two.
Yes, and yes, and it's completely depend on the systems you are building, right? So, as a if it's like a business and shopping cart, we don't like if I own a system, I don't want my users to go away. I would
Mm-hmm.
definitely show them something. So
Yeah.
where relevancy would be different, but in terms of the legal and legal systems, or you say something which is where accuracy is more important, the balance is very important, right?
Very, very true.
Now, let's say, what do you think about the future of search? So, as I said, it started from just the keyword matching or text matching, string matchings, and now it has evolved till the semantic search. We hybrid search is the industry standard now. What do you think? So, again, like for me, I think no matter how improvement there will be, how much involvement there will be, the traditional search will be there because it's the backbone. If I am searching for something and I have the exact match, I would definitely wants to see that. But what do you think is the future of search now? How AI is changing it? And what would you like to see based on your experiences to be coming in upcoming future? What you like to see?
In the future, definitely, maybe we will figure out RAG in a better way. We can't really ignore the fact that AI is here. We just need to be maybe quite responsible with it. So in this context, maybe what I would like to see is better retrieval and more digitization of documents. So mostly from an African perspective, these problems would differ. So maybe in other jurisdictions, the issue is retrieval. In other jurisdictions, it's digitization itself. So I'll give you a case of Kenya, where apparently we are leading in digitization of documents. So Kenya has more than 300,000 published court decisions already. If you look at somewhere like Egypt, Ethiopia, the number is slightly lower than that. So depending on where you are, then you would be solving a very different problem, because you cannot build a RAG system without the data. So in Kenya, we are solving search, right? In other jurisdictions, we are trying to first find the documents, then probably digitize them, then introduce search. But it would be great to see maybe a bit of research assistance. There's this feature in Elasticsearch that I really like. Find me documents similar to the one that I have opened, which I find extremely useful for anyone who is doing legal research. So how would this be helpful? Then I wouldn't have to go through thousands and thousands of documents to find maybe precedents that would have taken me just a few, maybe minutes to get. Like on the basis of what we are doing, maybe summarization. Currently, with all the summaries that we have online, they have been extremely useful. Yeah, so I feel like already there's an impact in the society. People are able to get the documents, just do a quick scan. Is this document relevant to what I am doing? If not, then move on. Back in the day, if you find like a judicial, not necessarily judicial, but an election petition, it's like 500 pages of document, and maybe you're just looking for one thing. So if you do not structure this data properly and just create a better search experience within this data, then I mean, we are losing man hours. We probably are losing money. It would just be great. So the other thing would be maybe document navigation. Finding relationships between different documents would be very useful, right? Imagine if there's a certain precedence that has a certain reference to a different case. Then I can be able just to move from that case to another case and make my work a little bit easier, and just from that just cut out a lot of hours that would be spent in research. You know, the funny thing about legal research, it's a very thin line of do I know or do I not know? Somebody would end up in jail for more than 20 years because you missed out on one precedent that was set maybe 30 or 40 years ago. So it's almost a life and death matter. So retrieval, very important.
Right. And I think with this RAG models, I think we are now in the era of search where we don't know, even if we don't know what we are looking for, we can describe it.
Mm-hmm.
And based on that, so thanks to the NLP models and all, now
Yeah.
they can understand, I will get some result. For me, I think the context is where I would love to see the more improvements, the isolation of the context, because what I have felt. So if I take an example of Elastic Agent Builder, which is
Mm.
also a RAG offering from Elastic, they are constantly working on the larger context windows and to isolate it so that your agents will have only the context you want and also have it for the longer period of time. Because right now the context is actually the problem where we see that these agents and the RAG pods hallucinate a bit, but it is
Yeah.
keep on improving. We have seen it. If we take an example of GPT, when it was with the first model and now with the upcoming models and the latest model, it has improved a lot. And the people out there keep on doing it. And but yeah, for me, this is where I would like to see some improvements.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so let's say me or maybe anyone if wants to create this system that you have created for legal or maybe some other similar domains which have the similar structure. Can you define the process of building it? Just a high level overview that how you have built it, what are the components involved in the system, and then I would like you to cover some benefit and a bit challenge that you have faced, and if you have started this today, what will be your approach now that you have seen and solved those challenges? So how you have started and now how you will start if you started today.
So you made a very interesting point. Reminds me immediately they released ChatGPT the very first time. A couple of lawyers were actually using it for research, and the sheer confidence that these LLMs had in quoting precedents that did not exist. And I've actually read a bit on, I think, some lawyers in the US and even in Kenya who had to redraft by word from their judges because everything they had cited, okay, not necessarily everything, but some of the cases they had cited do not exist. And yeah, context is actually pretty important. Yeah. So how the system works and how it was built. So high level, maybe sourcing of the documents. The other thing is OCR and text extraction, and then pipeline to do metadata extraction based on what type of document. Because I mean, like a court decision would have a very different metadata compared to a gazette or a legal document or company documents or tax case law. Even within court decisions, depending on the area, then the metadata would be a bit different. Then quality validation, just making sure that we got everything right. And the other thing would be indexing to Elasticsearch. And at the back of it, also a lot of observability and just making sure that the data is reliable. In case the database goes down, are we able to recreate the exact same documents with the same metadata and with the same searches? So that probably is what has taken a long time. Where would I start? I think I would just still remain with the pipeline, because if we do not have a good pipeline and we do not have the correct documents, the correct OCR for raw text, wrong metadata, I mean, verifiability in legal research is very important. So you would not want to give metadata like a document is for the Ugandan jurisdiction, you've matched it to Kenya. That would be somewhat catastrophic. What's the other thing? Very important to remember that, again, bad metadata will always give you bad relevance. So I think I would start with the pipeline. Just reminds me of even when you're building the pipeline, one major observation I made is that like most OCR models have like Latin-based alphabets. So I had this data set of Ethiopian documents which are written in Amharic. And most of the OCR models that I interacted with assumed that the Amharic letters are Latin-based letters. So maybe I would like to explore and see what people are doing with maybe models that are not necessarily Latin-based. So yeah, I think.
Yep, I think now we have seen this models that are very good with more than one languages, especially
Yeah.
meta models with which has a wide variety of languages covered. So uh, those will be really helpful in the case because, as you said, for we cannot say that all the documents will be in same languages. It could be in the net. It could be in English because it's a global one, but it could also be a native language of where you are from, where you're trying to build the systems on. But
Yeah.
yeah, definitely a pitfall. So let's say I would like you to cover what are the KPIs that you, on basis of what you judge that your system is actually working correctly before rolling out to the users, and especially in terms of search. That how do you monitor and how do you keep the metric of that it is the relevance that we want and it is accurate results that we want. So how do you test it? Do you have some metrics defined and based on that you calculate that?
So being that we work quite a lot with lawyers, we have a good number of people who just do like literal testing, not just in one area of practice, but in different areas who give us feedback. We also try to keep in touch mostly with our clients, both in the legal sector and in tax. Tax is such a major issue here. So that's one metric. Again, observability. So we collect a lot of information to just help us understand how people are interacting with the system. Maybe a user has done a filter and a text search. Were they able to narrow down to a good set of documents? We also do quite a lot of internal testing before any feature is deployed. So I think those are just the major ones that we do.
And let's say if you have seen that okay, we there's a there are improvement needs in terms of relevancy. So how do you tackle that? That how do you improve the relevancy of your searches?
One, checking the metadata. I think filtering is such an important bit of reducing the amount of documents that you are searching. So again, we are also trying to implement the hybrid search, which I feel like is going to mitigate that as well. Yeah. On top of my mind.
Yeah, and with the like the hybrid search, we have this RRFs and where you can blend the stores. So definitely it will be helpful for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we have covered pretty much. But yeah, I I have this. I would like to ask this question to anyone. What are your advice for someone who has just started with, let's say, search or maybe trying to build a search system, or it could be anything, but related to search, and his or her choice is Elastic. So what are your advice?
One is to just encourage everyone to build responsible systems that one are reliable and transparent. Research can be quite touchy because it requires a lot of trust. Like I said before, this could be the decision between life and death. And it's not only in legal research. What we've built can be easily be adapted by other different industries. Imagine a world where even if the doctor who saw you the last time you visited, could trust exactly all the information that is available in your system without having to maybe contact the person who wrote all this information, that it would be easy to retrieve a patient's history. Then it would be very important to have authoritative sources. They have to be very grounded, ensuring that your data is transparent and secondly, very reliable and verifiable as well. This reminds me of what is it? Again, ChatGPT and all the other large language models. So when they came, there wasn't like not necessarily transparency, but you couldn't verify the information until they added ways where the models could search and give you back information and tell you, okay, this is where I got this information from. And we actually started trusting what the large language models were doing. So it's the same case even with our search systems. It would be very important to make sure that we are transparent, we are reliable, and above all, our information is verifiable.
And thank you very much for sharing the insights. Yeah, it was a really fun conversation. For our viewers, we host this kind of a podcast every week. So please follow us on our social media handles. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll try to keep up with all these podcasts and new topic and trends. And if you want to join us as a guest, please share your inquiries to marketing@hyperflex.co. Till the next time, thank you so much for joining and see you then.
Thank you so much for having me as well.